So you went to a game and you saw this really awesome looking terrain and you thought to yourself, I need that. Well, this is where you start. Stick around. You'll learn to build stuff like this, or maybe this one. How about this one? Hey guys, it's Mike from the Well That Didn't Work crew. In April, at our channel update, I announced that I was going to be starting a series. That series was a beginner tutorial on how to create and craft terrain to enhance your gaming. So if you're like me and you're a complete noob to this, you've been searching video after video after video that's out there on YouTube trying to learn how to get into this, I'm simply going to say, dive in and start. Stick around. We're going to start at the ground up, and that means that this tutorial series, the first part of maybe 10, is going to be nothing but what you need to start in this process. Everything that you're going to see can be picked up at a local craft store or a Walmart or one of the big box hardware stores like a Home Depot or a Lowe's. None of the materials, supplies, or equipment cost me more than $10 a piece at any one of these stores. Will it take a little bit of time to get some of this? Yes. But I guarantee you, you can start this crafting process for probably under $50 investment and have quite a bit of your basic terrain ready to go. So stick around. This is more of a video log and a tutorial series of me starting off in this craft from scratch. So if I can do it, I guarantee you can do it too. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments below. If you have suggestions, you have things that you've tried, leave them in the comments. Let me know. I'll be happy to respond. So let's get started.
Let's talk about the glue and any other adhesive that you're going to need. There are several types of PBA glue, what you might know as Elmer's school glue. Elmer's school glue is nothing more than a diluted PBA glue. It's very thin, takes longer to dry, and it predominantly works on paper and thin cardboard. Your next type of PBA glue is carpenter's glue. If you'll notice, the one that I'm using is Gorilla Wood Glue. It's thicker and it dries a little faster. This is the best product to use on any wood-to-wood connection. Next up is tacky glue. It's a really thick PBA glue that dries much faster than carpenter's or school glue. This is best used on doing brickwork or shingle work that's made out of foam. CA glue, which is also known as super glue, is going to be one of your best friends. There's two types. There's the thin super glue, and then there's a gel version. The thin super glue takes about 30 seconds to a minute to harden and set. The gel is better suited for areas where you have large gaps or it's hard to reach. Both work well. With super glues, it's best to use an activator. The one I prefer is by Bob Smith Industries. The reason why is it's compatible with foam and plastic. A quick shot of this Insta-set on one piece, glue on the other piece, touch them together, and it's bonded. Now let's talk about how you're going to seal your projects. Mod Podge. This is essential to any crafting. Make sure that you get the matte version. You don't want to get anything that's glossy. This will create a thin acrylic layer over your project that will allow for you to paint. Next is polyurethane, or a clear acrylic sealer. I would recommend getting 2 bottles of Mod Podge. One you're going to mix a dark paint with. That will always be your base layer. One needs to be left as is. Now let's talk about paints and primers. You're going to need acrylic craft paint. Regardless of the brand, most paints are the same in the end. Just like with the Mod Podge, make sure that you grab matte finishes as your essential colors. If you're just getting into this, go with the inexpensive stuff. The Walmart paint is just as good as what you're going to get at a craft store, although there are some shades that are exclusive to specific brands. In those cases, you may have to invest a little more. To start off with, you won't need them. Now let's talk about colors. You're going to need white. I have a bottle of gesso white, which I use for priming large projects. A small bottle of off-white. When doing terrain, an off-white looks more natural. So try and aim for a light cream color. You'll also need a bottle of black. You can start with a small bottle, but try and get a larger one. You're going to use a lot of black in your projects. Next, you're going to need an earthy, dark shade of green, either an army or an olive green. And for terrain, one of your most essential colors is the darkest brown possible. You can choose to get lighter shades of any of these colors, but the black, the white, the brown, and the green will drive almost every color that you're going to need. Additional colors you can go for: a dark gray, a light gray, a medium tan, a golden brown, but those are not really needed to start off with. Now let's talk about brushes. Sponge brushes can be used, but they're not going to be your best choice. Larger brushes are going to load a lot of paint, and brushes that are made of natural hair are too flimsy. They just bend when you paint. Try and use the synthetic brushes. A brush that is at least 3/4 of an inch wide is best for base coats and dry brushing. Smaller brushes will do much better on your detail work. Now let's talk about the tools and equipment you're going to need. The more detailed your work is, the more likely you're going to need a small pair of needle nose pliers. Small jewelry kit plier sets just like this are available at Walmart for only a few dollars. A good old-fashioned number 2 pencil. Try not to over-sharpen it. Believe it or not, this will be used to carve terrain. A fine tip Sharpie pen. The permanent pens react with the foam and melt it slightly, but give you enough control to mark your projects or do carving. A cheap pack of wire brushes. The thin wire bites into the foam and creates some very unique texturing. It's highly effective to create what looks like wood. A hot glue gun. A pen style like this is great for getting into small spaces and doing fine detail work. A larger glue gun will be needed when you're doing assembly of larger pieces. And of course, it goes without saying, you need glue for the glue guns. You'll also need a plastic T-square. This will help you mark your projects more effectively. Or you could use a metal T-square. I prefer the metal one because I can adjust it as well as use it as a straight edge when I'm cutting foam. A basic box cutter. This is going to do the dirty work of cutting up cardboard, wood, other mediums that you're going to work with. A thick blade retractable and lockable box cutter. These work best on cutting foam. An X-Acto blade set. This is going to allow you to do much more detailed work. A pair of scissors. You can't craft anything without a pair of scissors. A cutting board. These small marked cutting boards are available at Walmart for just a few dollars. The larger cutting boards are also available. They'll cost you a little bit more, but give you much more work room. Yes, it's a tool. Rolled up aluminum foil. As we go into the series, this is how you're going to texture your stonework. Next, you're going to need a hot wire foam cutter. This small one is available at Walmart and costs only a few dollars. You do need to buy two USB plug-ins, one that's a 2.4 amp and one that's a 1.0 amp. The 2.4 amp will let you cut through thicker foam. The 1.0 amp will allow you to carve or do more detail work against that foam without burning through the project. There are much larger ones like the Proxon Thermocut. If you're going to continue with this, it might be a good investment. Now let's talk about your crafting supplies, your mediums. First and foremost is pink XPS foam. I'll go into more detail later, but this is insulation foam that you can buy from any of your big box hardware stores. In the States, Home Depot sells this pink version, Lowe's sells a blue version. The pink one is more rigid and will hold texturing better, and it's better for thinner, more flexible pieces. You'll be cutting this into all shapes and sizes as you craft. Next, you'll need some toothpicks. They can be used for mixing paint. They can be used as details on your projects. Just like the toothpicks, you'll need some small mixing sticks. These can be used as detailed work on your projects or for mixing paint. Next, you're going to need several sizes of popsicle sticks. Next, a jar of rocks. Yes, I know what you're thinking, but a jar of rocks can be used to build walls, bases, additional details that you can glue onto your bases. Next, thin gravel. These are going to come from your hobby store. This will add extra detail to your basing.
Thanks for watching, and as always, keep on adventuring.